got to see your face. Woo. Lord, I want to. Got to see your face. Woo. Lord, I want to be. Yeah. Everything you want me to be. Yeah. And Lord, I want to see. Yeah. Exactly what's in store for me. I got to see your face. Woo. Lord, I want to be. Yeah. Everything you want me to be. Yeah. And Lord, I want to see. Yeah. Exactly what's in store for me.
Hi everybody, this is Blaze. I'm here with Mario Van Peebles, and we're here at the California African American Museum and Exposition Park. We're here for the Target Sunday. That's the first Sunday of every month where they get together and do fantastic shows and events, primarily for children. Right now we have a special camera person. Who's this on the camera?
This camera person is actually a pretty cool guy, and I think he's related to me. I believe that's Michaelo Van Peebles, my son, working the camera, and thank you for giving him that chance.
Okay, we're going to show him at the end of this interview. But we're here about something very serious today. We're talking about a project that you brought here to show. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the movie that I had brought today is called Poetic License, and actually Michaelo's in the movie.
Really?
As well, yes. He's not only here as our surprise guest cameraman, but he also
he's the next generation, what you're trying to tell. Yeah,
right.
okay.
But it's a movie about the First Amendment, and as you know, the First Amendment is the cornerstone of our democracy, and it deals with free speech. Do you have the right to say what you want to say? And that's always been a problematic area in America, but it's really important to Americans to keep in mind that we do have the right here, the First Amendment, to free speech.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the pieces the piece that I dealt with is about the whole First Amendment thing. And what we believe is that free speech acts like a valve. So the First Amendment kind of acts as a valve. And if you don't let people, as you know, communicate through art or through song or through rap or whatever it is, they'll find other ways to communicate, and eventually it becomes communicating through a car bomb, communicating through something else. And so that's kind of, this is so important that we have the right as Americans to free speech.
I saw someone say that. What's the gentleman's name from New Jersey, the subject of this?
The poet laureate at the time from New Jersey was Amiri Baraka.
Okay.
And this brother was talking about it. So I got to have Amiri Baraka in Poetic License. And when you come to this event and you see Poetic License, you'll get to see the whole deal on it.
Now, you graciously allowed me to film. I must have filmed about 20 minutes of it, and it was my intention, if it's all right with you, to actually show as much as I got, because I thought it was so very important, because it wasn't just a black person talking about black rights, it was Americans talking about American rights. Is that more like what it is?
Absolutely, and the reason I did this movie was not to make money, but to get people thinking. Anytime in a democracy that you get folks thinking when they're viewing art, you can also get them hopefully thinking when they're in the voting booth and they're voting.
Yeah.
And so you show as much of that as you need to show, my brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and another thing about art, until just recently, people couldn't read or write.
Right.
So art, paintings, things like that was really transmitting information on a very high level for year after year, well, century after century until just now, and it's still very important, and it must get out there. So now that you've done this great film that I saw, that I would have paid to see, I saw it for what I would have paid, how do you show it? I mean, does the media allow you to show it the way you'd like to? Or?
Well, in this particular case with Poetic License, it's showed on Court TV and the Sundance Channel, but it's also, you can get it at the local video store.
Okay.
So you can go to the local video store and say, I want to get Poetic License, and see it. And like I said, it's really important to be able to communicate and to make, if you can, to make art that raises the bar. So if you're going to entertain, make some edutainment.
Yeah.
Put some little educations. Put some nutritional value in your work.
That's why I come to this place.
And raise the bar a little bit and get folks thinking and lifting. And that's real key, man.
Yeah. It was a powerful and well done piece. I guess that was like low budget.
Well, it's a documentary.
It didn't look low budget to me.
It's a documentary, but I try to, I always believe that moving pictures should move, and that you know, we're out there musically, we're out, look at all the colors and flavors that we bring, and I think that cinematically we can bring all that art and the beauty to it. Why not make it beautiful? So folks can watch and go, oh wow, we can do all that and more.
Yeah. Hey, well,
thank you, Michaela, for shooting us.
Cut.
Hello, my name is Connie, and Noah helping me out on the 1-2s over here by my side. Peace and blessings to you. I'm going to do this poem called, what is the name of this poem? It's a confession of a black man. Peace. Today I'm reconstructing promises and dreams that reluctant travelers left behind. A dislocated community, gift wrapping and placing them beneath the hearth of expectancy. I'm warming leftover hopes and allowing change to boil. Not pennies, but real change. The kind that takes place in a man's heart when he realizes that dollars and physical pleasure ain't really enough to satisfy his soul. See, life got more meaning than sex. And it's ironic how the pieces don't fit together anymore before they became the commentary of a dismembered family puzzle, the black enigma. And you know, to get known is hard, difficult when so much has been lost, taken, too damn much. And you know, sometimes I wonder how they did it, you know, your folks and mine, when they forfeited so much of themselves and we got Mercedes and BMWs and can't remember where we was going or where we was from. So I'm doing a lot of digging these days, going deeper than ground level, beneath the surface of bullshit and the lies we tell ourselves. We want to convince others that we're something we're not. See, I want to know who I am and not be convinced of what others think I ought to be. I'm being careful because mama said so. Singing some of them songs my dear used to talk about. Planting some of that good seed my dad used to remind me of. See, because I want to leave something behind for my children other than some bills and a life insurance policy. And this right here, this is a this right here is a confession of a black man who's come to grips with himself. Because when I first growed up, I was a man. And now I'm learning how to be a voluntary African-American man. And I ain't hating on nobody, because see, enough of that was laid on my doorstep before I was born just because of my nappy head. Right? Just because of my nappy head. So I'm hoping you liking who you is just like I'm liking who I am and where I'm from, the real West Side, Mother Africa. I'm remembering those fettered promises because I got keys to the original covenant. I'm reviving dreams that were tossed overboard. Yeah, my son is trying to keep me up with this. Yeah, I'm reviving those dreams that were tossed overboard because I can swim in deep water. I'm discovering treasures of legacies long forgotten, keeping time on Atlantic Ocean floor. See, I know there was a Holocaust. I said, I know there was a Holocaust. They just don't want to recall mine. So I'm doing my own remembering, celebrating my own holidays, creating my own language out of my native tongue. Here we are in the second millennium, and they still trying to steal my culture. So I'm building something unprecedented on the cornerstone of my history. Don't want to live in the midst of forgetting just because I got some cheddar in my pocket, and I hate that damn Ray mentality because that's how we got here on American shores in the first place. And we act like we staggered like a punch-drunk fighter watching while our ripened eggs is falling from trees because we most vulnerable to we. Ain't nobody gonna count me out. I'm gonna count myself in and accept the responsibility bestowed of being the architects of true humanity, shapeshifters and pyramid builders, queens and kings, melanin retainers. I wonder, can I get a witness? So I'm building something unprecedented of communities and families. I am saving myself from extinction at my own hands, you know, and I'm raising my own children. So today I am reconstructing promises and dreams 300 years of slavery and Jim Crow couldn't destroy. I am discovering treasures of legacies long forgotten, pulling down Confederate flags from state capitals, defining myself by my own standards, because we don't need another hero except for ourselves. And this right here, this is a confession. This is a confession of a black man. This is a confession of a black man who's come to grips with himself. Peace.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. And as my dad and I always say, we hope that the piece speaks for itself. Am I correct in that we're going to do a little Q&A afterwards? Is that cool?
Yes.
You guys okay with that? So if you're okay with that, what I'd like to do is let you see it. And you may decide it's terrible, want to throw me out of here, or you will enjoy it and have some questions. And then we'll go from there. So I think that one thing that Hitler understood very clearly was that the first thing you want to do is when you establish a repressive regime, is cut out the tongues of the artists. You want to limit what folks have to say. Because if folks watch art or look at art and deal with art on any intellectual basis where they have to discern or think, that's the same kind of process that you have to go through in the voting booth. And by and large, if you're in a populist democracy, the best kind of democracies that work well and are active and vibrant are ones where the populace is thinking and being critical of power. And so any art that makes us think is often labeled troublesome or dangerous art. Hitler understood that, and I think one of the things in the pieces you'll see is that I tried to explore truly in what I like to think of as the quote-unquote fair and balanced way, many sides of the aisle. There are other people in this document who are much more eloquent than myself, who can speak on some very interesting issues. And after that, you can ask whatever question you want to ask. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's just enjoy the movie and we'll go from there. Thank you. All right, I'll subtitle for you.
So it's sort of like a pot. Got the fumes of a democracy right here. That pot is boiling. It's always hot. And someone say, well, that's anti-Semitic. Someone else say, well, that's anti-black. Someone say, well, this is anti-women. And all those things, ideas. That First Amendment is the valve. And that valve doesn't let us be popular. And I'd much rather have someone saying it in a poem, or saying it in a piece of artwork, or saying it in a movie.
You okay now?
Yeah.
Much better. This is what you call independent films. More poetic.
Was the right of the people to accept the position
domestic and international, but one should not be used to cover the other. Somebody blew up America.
The First Amendment is really one of the hallmarks of the United States.
The right has its list of things that it finds objectionable. Blasphemy, obscenity. And the left has its list of what it finds objectionable: racism, sexism, homophobia, classism, lookism, etc. And both these groups, I think, would clearly love to violate your First Amendment rights.
Somebody Blew Up America was a poem that Amiri Baraka wrote in response to the 9/11 attacks on the Trade Center.
Baraka had been named Poet Laureate of New Jersey. He appeared at a poetry festival in New Jersey, at which time he read a very long poem about the whole 9/11 controversy. And in that poem, he made some very outrageous remarks.
They say it's some terrorists, some barbaric Arab in Afghanistan. It wasn't our American terror. It was a plan of the skinheads. The them that blows up nigger churches or even run themselves on death row. It wasn't Trip Rock or David Duke or Giuliani or Schumer. Hell, retirement.
Jesse Helms was among the very first who mounted what has since been known as the culture wars. Senator Helms managed to get a law passed. For anyone who knows the history of Germany, the Nazis mounted an exhibition in 1937 in a minute called Degenerate Art. And in it, They collected everything that they could find in public museums in Germany and claimed that these works did not abide by what they called gesundes Volksempfinden, the healthy sense of the people. When I read here general standards of decency, there is an uncanny resemblance to the wording.
You find art, you find science. Who made the bombs? Who made the guns? Who brought the slaves? Who told them? Who called them the names? Who said Donald wasn't insane?
1989 was an absolute watershed for the First Amendment and for cultural history in America. Karen Finley, Robert Mapplethorpe, Andre Serrano. And that was also a year in which True Live Crew was brought into play. The first time that an American museum director, Dennis Berry, was arrested in Cincinnati because of the...
The Philippines, Manhattan, Australia, Japanese, who forced working on the Chinese. Who owned the buildings, who got the money, who made you funny, who locked you up, who owned the papers, who owned the slave ship, who run the army, who the fake president, who the ruler, who the bank for who do come out to Cobra's now? Who know what kind of Caesar is a Condoleezza?
He wants to feel free to attack everybody. He attacks the things he said about African American rights and points.
Who take comedy to be a wood Negro? Who get genius awards for homo local subsidiary?
I'm always annoyed by black public figures who maintain that they speak for all black people and that they are the black ones and that you're not.
Who overthrew Nkrumah, Bishop, who poisoned Rosen, who tried to put the boys in jail, who framed Jack Brown, Jamil Ali, who framed the Rosenbergs, Garvey, the Scottsdale boys, the Hollywood 10, who set the Reichstag fire? Who knew the World Trade Center was going to be? Who told 4,000 Israeli workers at the Twin Tower to stay home that day? Why did Jerome stay away?
The poem was particularly disturbing to us at ADL because a certain conspiracy theory had evolved several days after 9/11 that 4,000 Israelis were working at the World Trade Center and none of them showed up for work on 9/11.
It didn't say that Israel was behind 9/11. If you read it, it's not what it says. It says that Israel knew something, just as the leaders of other countries knew something.
The part of 4,000 Israelis not going to work, that seemed corny to me. That didn't seem, But we now know, back in this hearing, that there are all sorts of tips and advance warnings and things going flying around. They told Bush in August, Osama bin Laden is planning to attack targets in the United States.
Who make money from war? Who make dough from fear and lies? Who wants the world like it is? Who wants the world to be ruled by imperialism and national oppression and terror, violence and hope and poverty? Who is the ruler of hell? Who's the most powerful? Who you know that have seen God? But everybody's seen the devil.
The Christian right and the Likud party, Sharon's party, have a particularly terrifying relationship. The Likud party is the right wing, right, of Israel. The Christian American right sympathize with that expansionist vision on one level because they've always been pro-colonialism, pro-imperialism, and they all always perceive that people of color internationally exist to serve their narrow profit margin. The second, more sinister reason why the Christian American right and the Israeli right have been strange bedfellows the past few years is because of a particular millenarian strain, the most narrow strain of an interpretation of a Christian doctrine, whereas in a most profoundly narrow evangelical Christian interpretation, the only way for revelations and for the Messiah to rise up and for there to be heaven on earth is for all the Jewish people to be repatriated back to the Holy Land, to the land that God set out for the Jews. And then after a mass extermination, about 1,000 are left over, and then you can see peace on earth.
As an exhaust for all the energies and the kind of passions that are contained in a society.
if you don't let people express those in a normal kind of way, they'll find ways to express them, and they won't be normal either. There'll be bombs, there'll be terrorism, there'll be assassination attempts.
Artists have always been cutting edge, outrageous. But that's the good thing about art, is that it sort of pushes the limits of our understanding of the world and our understanding of society, and that's what you want artists to do.
I find lots of things offensive. So what? I find lots of things anti-black. So what? Things are anti-white. So what? You do not answer offensive speech by saying a person doesn't have a right to say it. You don't answer offensive work by removing it from the museum. You don't answer offensive work by saying a poet cannot express hateful ideas. No. Sometimes you get to the truth through expression.
Sound exploding in your life, in your brain, in your soul, like an hour with the devil, all night, all day you listen, like an hour exploding in fire, media questions rise, in terrible flame, like the whistle of a crazy dog, like an acid one of the fire, and wood, and wood, and wood, and wood, and wood.
It was, why hasn't it been shown on TV? And that's a great question, because often you kind of think the pieces that really have something to say sort of inadvertently don't get shown. But the interesting deal that I made with this one was that it wasn't about money. I just said I'll do it for whatever it is to make it, but that you have to show it. So part of the deal was that it was shown on the Sundance Channel and it was shown on Court TV. So that made it very interesting, because folks who normally watch all that Court TV stuff were suddenly turning the channel and going, wait a minute, what is this? And that's the thing, because here's what happens is, you find out very quickly that as artists, it's not just now, especially in film, that it's not just now about making the film, it's about getting the film seen. And then the second question is, who's seeing it? Are we preaching beyond the choir? Is it just the intelligentsia, of which there's 12, or is it the masses that are seeing it? So when it got into Court TV, I got a lot of calls from folks who were saying, wow, it's a very dense piece, and some people saying, I want to see it again and understand it more, because part of what I was trying to deliver in the piece was an understanding of what's under the media stories that we often read. It's like living in LA and one day your house starts shaking, but you don't understand how plates work and how fault lines work. And once you understand that you're on a fault line and how the whole plate system works geographically, then you have a better understanding of the dynamics that are happening in this earthquake. And when you understand politically why they jumped on Baraka, it wasn't that that line was more offensive than any other line. There's this whole sensitivity politically to the dynamic with Israel right now and the right wing, and this whole thing where they're trying to get you to believe that if you criticize the right-wing Israeli government, that you're anti-Semitic. It'd be like saying if you criticize Bush, are you anti-American? If you criticize any African government, are you in fact anti-black? So if they can get you to think in a reductive way, then we will all shut up. And that's the trick. So to try to get us to say, no, wait a minute, being critical of authorities and governments is very, very important. But it was shown, and that was one of the deals I made, because I knew I could make a documentary any time that would be the truth. The question was, could you bring that truth to light? And could you bring it to light with folks that might not get it? That in between watching, Dancing with the Stars, they may go, oh, hey, what's that? Yes, sir.
I think work like this is very important. I'm an artist, and I know how difficult it is getting your project seen by the people out there that need to see it. The question is, other than television, are there any other outlets? That is, where can this DVD be purchased, and where can controversial, relevant pieces of work like this be purchased?
That's another good question. Because again, we as artists can create the art, but if the powers that be control the distribution of it, it's a very tricky thing. One of the deals that I made when I did this was that I said, I want it to be available to folks if they want to see it. And you can go to video stores and see this series. And there's some other series in this, all the First Amendment series by Sundance. But when I did do this piece, and I told them what I was doing, I got the call, because Sundance is owned by Viacom. And I got that call, you know, and there were folks on both sides that said, Mario, I wouldn't do this if I were you. You know, you can get painted with the same brush Baraka got painted with. And I said, you know, so it's a tricky world to get into, you know, so. But, and I know this for a fact, you know, I directed a movie a while back on the Black Panther Party called Panther. You cannot get it in video stores. You can get Posse, you can get New Jack City, you can get Me Clowning with Clint Eastwood, but you can't get Panther in video stores. So they will pull stuff. If you don't ask for it, they will pull it off. You will not find it. It is impossible to get Panther. You can't get Spooky Set by the door. Oh no. So the thing is, America is still an interesting place, and this is something that Michael Moore said, because we still all pray to that almighty dollar. So if folks know that you want it, and you go in and say it, we vote every day by what we pay to see. You know what I mean? If you go in and say, I want a copy of it, I want to buy it, you know, and you express that, they'll find a way to get it to you.
As much of a media center as LA is, have any of the grown traditional people like you and your dad and others, Poetic and all of that, those people, ever thought about setting up a forum where once a month the really bad cats, dudes, can come out and show their work, and anybody else that disagreed, hey,
you know, actually, the first time I showed this piece was at the Black Doc thing. Have you been there? That's heavy. I mean, the Black documentaries, they do it once a month. Was it AFI?
It was an AFI. That's Denise Hamilton.
That's how I showed it. And they have to tell you, if you haven't gone to that, that is it. I mean, I showed my piece, and they were the pieces that blew this out the water, frankly. I was like, oh my, I mean, they just cats will bring it. I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I got to do this. First of all, let's thank Mario.
I'm Mario Van Peebles. You know what? I got a little something special for you here. I'm going to try it out. Michaela, do you know how to remember your rap? Just do part of it. Introduce yourself.
My name is Michaela Van Peebles, and I don't know.
Michaela with a Y?
Oh, yeah. Michaela with the Y, like in technology, from the Game Boy to computer to the PSP.
That's pretty good. That'll work. Morgana?
No, I'm not doing it.
Come on, Manny.
The name is Morgana. Twice as nice. Voulez-vous en français? I can give it spice. Old King Cole was a merry old soul. Yes, a merry old soul was he. But I'm a king soul, and I'm not old. I'm a little girl, you see, with long curly hair and big round eyes. The bilingual rapper that can hypnotize.
Good, Mandela.
Hi, I'm Mandela.
Hello, I'm Chitra.
MVP, Big Daddy, I got all my cool kids hanging out with me. Thank you for having us on.